Hey everyone, I can't believe we are already at the end of days for 2021, and to finish the current year at a high note, I decided to release do the uh, unit prediction video for January a little bit earlier. Usually these videos come out on a Saturday or Sunday, but this time this would have meant doing this video in 2022. So I decided to end, like I said, the year on a high note with my personal favorite type of video. It's always the prediction video where we talk about the latest units that are potentially coming in the next few weeks. So yeah, let's dive right in. It's going to be a little bit longer, the video, that is, because we are actually looking at quite a few new units. But before I do want to say thank you for all of you for being here with me. For those of you who watched just a guide, didn't subscribe, I don't really mind. As long as I was able to help you guys in some degree, I'm always happy to help. And it's crazy, like I actually took a few minutes before starting off recording this video to check how my channel developed throughout the year, and it's crazy. I almost gained 2,000 new subscribers this year. I started with, I believe, 300, 400 in January, and now we are at 2.1k almost. It's absolutely mind-blowing how quickly my channel has grown, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm just doing things that I like, and it's crazy, and I really hope that you guys will keep watching and I will keep doing these videos. It's a lot of fun for me, and I enjoy the discussions we have in the comments, even the ones that are negative and call me an idiot or so. It's fine at times. Sometimes I just need that reality check. I'm not super popular. I still feel like I'm the same guy I was a year ago when I didn't do videos that much, so I will not try to get swayed by any numbers or whatsoever. I just do what I think I'm doing best, and that is helping people and enjoy the game with you guys. So with that in mind, let's finally start this video. And it's obvious that I think everyone is aware that we'll be getting a new Clash of Wills unit. And coincidentally, there will be, or Chinese New Year or Lunar New Year starts on February 1st. But that is, if I'm not totally mistaken, either a Friday or a Saturday. I should have looked this up beforehand, to be honest. Yeah, I'm totally wrong. February 1st is a Tuesday. But that means that the reset or maintenance day is going to be 27th, meaning we are highly likely to get our Chinese New Year unit on the 27th January, thus meaning it's Clash of Wills time too. We know it's coming. We don't have any idea what it's going to be. All I know is that it's the year of the tiger. So let's see what the devs come up. I'm sure we'll have some form of tiger boss in the mocking. They had the ox this year, so maybe we'll have a tiger boss in the. Well, it's not a mocking; it's an elemental battle, but that's something I expect. And surely the new Clash of Wills unit will have Beast Fairy Killer, because those are the races the boss is weak to, or the boss's races. So I'm really excited. And what the devs come up this time. So let's move on and check out the next unit. With Chinese New Year coming up, we got Shui Yu this year. It's still this year. Oh well, I'll make that mistake a couple of more times. Trust me on that. But yeah, Shui Yu. What do I expect? What do I hope for? With a lot of copium inhaling included. So things I'd like to see is baseline damage, LB damage, please. She has 0 in her Brave Shift, and I'm just hoping that she gets at least 100, so gearing her for true double hand spirit, which is now easier with Frisia STMR in mind. It's easier, but gearing her for 300 LB damage is so bad. So I'm hoping that we'll see something in that regard. A huge pipe dream is that her LB damage becomes physically typed magic, elementless. That would be great. or that she gets a water absorb on abilities, higher mods all across the board, and innate 6x cap at the X plus 3. That'd be cool to have. I think this would be great ways to fix her and make her somewhat relevant. But then again, if the last Clash of Worlds bosses and the last remakes, Eldrin, Ibarra, come to mind, are some indicator, Shui Yu probably won't be relevant for the next Clash of Worlds anyway. But I like the sprite of Shui Yu. I think she's one of the most prettiest sprites we have. But yeah, I don't expect her to become relevant all of a sudden. Truth be told. But let's move on to the actual unit that is coming out on this very Thursday, I'm fairly certain, and that is Taivas. Taivas is a premium unit, super limit burst as well, but Taivas does one thing that nobody else does so far, and and it's the STMR, but we'll get to that in a minute. So Trustmaster Rod is a great sword, 167 attack. It's a two-handed greatsword too, with 1.6 max variance and 1.0 minimum variance. It has 100% Machina killer, and Taivas himself gets 300 static attack. So I think this is quite a decent one, especially because Taivas himself also does the greatsword in peril, so that's our third unit, Norpi and Cloud being the first two ones. And maybe he'll see play in a future Dark Visions, where the boss is kind of weak to water, but let's see. Weak to fire, sorry. Taivas is a fire. Taivas is literally fire Auron, so to speak. And now the Super Trust Master of Taivas. This one unlocks an ability for physical attackers only. And that is the important part. It really states physical attackers only. That is the red icon you see below units. Like, Curtin is a physical attacker, Lara is a physical attacker, Sephiroth is a physical attacker. So those units can use that STMR ability. And what it does is it increases the LB mod by 30x for 2 turns. So take Sephiroth for example, his LB is 350x modifier after the first stack. With this Super Trust Master, it becomes a 380x increase or mod, which is crazy strong. I know it reads like it's a little bit less than 10%, but the difference that it makes in terms of raw damage output, it's crazy. It's an 8.7-ish% increase in damage, in total damage done. It's super high and it's actually worth it. Now I do want to mention that when we get Taivas next week, the Super Trust Master has a cooldown of 5 turns, and it will activate on turn 5, or you can use it on turn 5. No, turn 4. Sorry, turn 4. And the further along we get in the Season 4 storyline, the better this becomes. At some point, since I pointed this out to me recently, I think it's chapter 2 or 4 is where we will get an item that allows us to upgrade the STMR such that we can use at least 1 copy of the STMR on turn 1. So that's going to be crazy good, but this one is a few months out still, sadly. So for the time being, we will have to use Roka to hasten or quicken the ability cooldown from 4 to 2 or 1. But it is what it is. It's still super strong. STMR for Sephiroth, Tifa, Auron, and literally every other LB user, honestly, that can use it, obviously. Angela can't, because Angela is not a physical attacker, by the way. And the Vision card of Taivas is a premium card, 125 attack, base attack that is, 80% attack, just like Auron, for example, 100% Machina killer. And the cool thing about this Vision card, and that makes it super strong, is the third passive. It is 500 static attack and is locked to male FFBE characters. Now sure, Sephiroth can't use this, but you know who can use this? Curtin. So this Vision card is actually best in slot on Curtin, to some degree. And it's going to make through some builds, like through double hand builds, a lot more viable because of the 80% attack, for example. So you do gain a lot of freedom in gearing, especially when fighting a Machina boss. It's going to be really good for Carton. And for me personally, this is very good because these 500 static attack, they will offset my loss in EX plus 3, that because my Carton is EX plus 2, so I will kind of have the feeling of him being EX plus 3 without being EX plus 3. But then again, people who have Carton at EX plus 3, they will profit even more than I do from that card. But so be it. Now, how good is Taivas, right? The bad things, let's start with those. He's a premium unit, he's an SLB unit, so keep that in mind, please. And he only has 100% killers on the TMR passive bonus. This one activates at the start at the battle, lasts 4 turns, which is fine for now, or for the next Dark Vision boss that has to be killed on turn 4, but it's so bad still. I mean, the game even states that it activates after Brave Shifting, but he doesn't have a Brave Shift unless his Super Limit Burst counts as a Brave Shift, which I'm not sure it actually does. So, truth be told, it's a 100% killer TMR passive that just doesn't do anything. And another thing, him being an SLB unit, he can't fit 2 roles just like Sephiroth does, for example. So that is always a huge downside. The good though, he does. Oops, I copy pasted this from Auron. So he's a fire DPS, not a wind DPS. But he has the Sephiroth Auron levels of damage, best STMR ever. Has a very good TMR for himself against certain races, one of them being what's it called? Machinas, obviously. His vision card is superb, and with this unit, they did the grounders right. It's a 50% fire amp, 250 LB boost, and 300 attack boost, and not these wumbo jumbo 280 attack, 200 or 150 LB damage boost, 30 amp to the element. It's the grounders done right. So here's a potential build for Taivas. As you can see, I'm not using his Trustmaster reward. Instead, I am using the Rain and Fina Super Trustmaster Sword of Unbreakable Faith. It's also a great sword, but it does 100% LB damage, because maxing out his LB damage while also maxing killers is kind of iffy on him. And as you can see, when you try to incorporate his own Super Trustmaster, which is the top right one over here, it does get tricky. I also had to use Yuna's necklace to max out the LB damage, otherwise you are going to have a little bit of trouble. Now, what's not on this list is his own vision card. I had to use, this is your story, this is Auron's vision card, so this Taivas is missing 500 static attack on the screenshot, so please keep that in mind. But other than that, 300 Demon Killer, 300 LB, so he's going to hit hard. And this one, Taivas no Manto, so it's Mantle. Oh, Mantle. Huh. I don't know where it's coming from, but it's also giving him 500 static attack, if I'm not totally mistaken. So yeah, looks pretty decent. I will crunch the numbers next week when he releases and give you a proper build, proper numbers, etc. So yeah, should you pull on Taivas? I do want to mention again, he's premium and SLB, so you've been warned. He's very strong, but not in the sense that he's as strong as Sephiroth, Auron, or Angela, because he only has one form. And I mean, the same applies to Auron, but Auron and Sephiroth will deal more damage than Taivas. In more cases, that is, because Taivas really is locked to his Super Trustmaster. He has a lot of fixed slots and he cannot gear as freely as especially Sephiroth and Angela, and less so than Auron, because Auron, while his grounders is bad, his gearing is rather good. So, and for Taivas, this is the other way around. While his gearing is bad, what was I saying? The gearing is bad, but everything else is fine. The Grandis is good. That is the analogy I was trying to make. So give and take, I guess. The other thing, he's very easy to gear with, especially for limit burst damage with Rain Fina as TMR. But for Makinas, for example, he wants to use his own TMR. So yeah, I just want to mention this again. If you want to get burned again after Sephiroth and Aaron, go ahead. I'm not going to judge anyone. I will do my own polls. They are mostly going to be tickets. So yeah. Taivas is going to be rather useful for fire and maybe Clash of Will stages. But technically speaking, we've got that covered with Lara. We've got that covered with Sky, who can just get imbued. We've got that also covered with Tiana and Carton, who can be imbued, so there's no reason to bring Taivas to Clash at all. So yeah, and being SLB also hinders him from being useful in Clash. So yeah, just as a rough estimate, the STMR will make a huge difference, around 8.5%, so not 8.7, 8.5% for Sephiroth and Auron. So you do want to have the STMR a couple of times. Alright, another unit that we're getting is Summoner Lena. As the name suggests, she is an evoker. Trust Master is 50% Magic Spirit, 30% Evoke, 20 Evoke Magic, and 25% Evoke damage. So it's decent, I'd say. It's not the worst, but it's also not the best, but it's something. And the STMR are close. 75 Magic, 30 Evo Mag, 40 Evo damage. That is cool. 100 Esper stats, which kind of rivals the Clash of Wills cloves, especially in terms of Esper stats. And Final Fantasy V units gain 300 static, magic, and spirit. So this cloth piece is rather stacked, and it's super good on FF5 units. But always keep in mind that these still fight for a slot with Shantoto's robe, which is an LB robe, and most of these units do want to use their LBs. And I do have my doubts that Lena is going to reach 300 LB, while also maxing out Evo Mag and Evo damage. Division card, 80 base magic and attack at 10, 40 magic attack percent at 4, 25 LB damage and 300 static attack magic for FF5 units at 10. So division card, not too fancy. Has no evocation or evo damage or evo magic, so it's kind of forgettable in that regard. So how good is she? She has the lowest evoke LB mod of all Near Vision base evokers. Hers is only 70x, while all the others have 80x modifiers. Her ground is 280% magic, which I just talked about. I think it's dumb. She also only has the 30% fire wind imperil. She has both imperils on her Grandis. And the dumbest thing I've ever seen is her limit burst. It is a fire evoke LB, 70x, that also sets up a 50% resistant field for the entire playing field, meaning the enemy also gains 50% fire resistance. So she nerfs her own damage before applying it. How dumb is that? You tell me. And the other thing that I find rather stupid is that she only has 100% Shodu wield magic in her kit. I don't know what Alum was smoking when they did this unit, but they probably shouldn't do that anymore. The only good things about her are the STMR is good, and she has a 140 Wind Imperil on her Brave Shifted LB, which is crazy to think about because Bulwark, our best Wind evoker, only has 135, and that is in Clash. So that's actually very good, to be honest. So should you pull? I mean, she is an absolute cluster duck of a unit. Increasing fire resistance on an LB, which is fire in itself. It is literally the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Her skill set is entirely useless, and the only thing she's good for is, or are the STMR and the Wind Imperil. So totally forgettable unit. And things continue. The next unit, Warrior of Dawn, Dorgan, is also a super limit burst unit. It has 40% beast plant killer, which is kind of why, but it continues the dump scheme of 40% killers while having 50% of the main stat. So 50% attack in this regard. But the Super Tristmaster, it's okay. It's a two-handed sword, 1.05 to 1.55x variance, 200 attack, 500 static attack for FF5 units, and 50 LB damage. And I'm not quite sure whether the 50% LB damage also is for FF5 units only, or whether it's for everyone. I would tend to believe, because Alum's unit design has been pretty bad lately, that this also only applies to FF5 units. Vision card, same as Lena. So how good is Dorgan? Same issues, to 80% attack buff. The SLB only gives him 100% killers for himself. He only has a 35% lightning amp. He's got a bad TMR, lame vision card, but the STMR is good. He has Entrust, that is the cool thing. And one thing to note is he does okay damage because his SLB is 300x modifier. So should you pull? Well, he's got a nice STMR, that's about it. One of the most boring units. 300x modifier SLB, so somewhat serviceable. But what you're gonna see from here on out is that most units will be a carbon copy of this particular unit. So we'll see the exact same kit, we'll see the exact same abilities, just a different element. Point in case, Tulien is one of these examples. Now Tulien is kind of the Riku of FFBE. And you'll see in a second why. So his Trustmaster is a rather interesting one. It unlocks an ability which provides an 85 all stat break. So meaning attack, magic, spirit, and defense. While also giving or doing a 130 Earth Imperil. Tulien specializes on Earth. His Super Trustmaster is an axe at 202 attack, 100% Machina Killer, and 500 static attack. I think it's a two-handed axe even, but I'm not sure. The vision card is kind of unique too. 80 attack and defense at level 10, 50% provoke until level 7, and 30% evasion on level 10. Which is one thing I'd like to mention is, if you're using units such as Bulwark or any other unit as a provoke unit, this could be useful to you guys for those of you who don't have a second Moogle charm. Now, truth be told, a vision card, I wouldn't waste it for passive provoke or evasion. But there is this thing, we all are collecting these mystery crystals. And one of the uses for the mystery crystals is that 7-star units can use vision cards. So technically speaking, you could give this to Mastermind Xon, for example, and he'd be having an even easier time getting to passive provoke, passive evasion, or full evasion, and you could fit in more resistances or more attacks, more killers. But who cares about Xon's damage? It's all about how much can he sustain, how much resistances can you pack on him, and this vision card, if put on Mastermind Xon, can make a difference. So I have so many mistakes. How good is Tulien? The bad thing, the breaks on his abilities, other than his unlockable TMR ability, they are bad, 75 or 80% all stats. Another thing I find super weird is he's got hybrid passives, but no hybrid damage. He's got especially when considering that his base mag is less than half of his base attack, so I don't understand why they gave him through single wield magic in his passives, but alas. The bad things are that he only has 87% breaks on his SLB, and the base LB is only 87% defense spirit breaks. So we have countless units with 87 breaks already, Sky being one. Cacteria recently got updated to 89% breaks. I think they'll have to update this to 90% breaks, but they won't, because apparently 90% breaks are reserved for time-limited units only. So, especially the attack break, the defense breaks, that is. So we'll see what they do. However, the good things are 50% passive provoke, 30% passive evasion, which requires TMR or STMR equipped. He's got a 145 Earth Imperil on his SLB, which is pretty good, and a 25% X Imperil. But all in all, if you consider pulling, he's just a mess of a unit. The Albet Girl Riku of FFBE, so to speak, in my opinion. The other thing he's got going for him is the 135 Alpha Imperil and the 25 X Imperil on SLB. But maybe he'll be a tech unit. Maybe in a super niche situation that... I mean, Riku in the last Dark Visions was such a tech unit where some top scorers brought her along for the Fairy Killer. So maybe the same thing will happen to Tulien. Who knows? But I don't think it will. We will bring him at all. And then we're also getting Warrior of Dawn Galuf. NVA, so there are still some NVAs left to get. He gains a few tanking abilities, 75%. General mitigation is the big kicker here. That's a good one that you can use. It even lasts for 4 turns, which is really good. Also, active provoke on the same ability. That's decent. And he's becoming even more of a LB fill battery with 4 LB crystals per cast, and he also gains triple cast, so that's 12 LB crystals guaranteed to all allies. Also gaining 500 static defense at EX +3 is a nice bonus. And the Brave Shift, we all know when the shirt comes off, you deal damage all of a sudden, and this is what Galuf is all about in his Brave Shift. He's dealing or doing a 150x modifier physical attack. It gives off bearded Goku vibes. So yeah, not too bad, but he isn't relevant in terms of damage. It's just nice to have, I guess. Alright, and then we're also going to see Dragoon Kane. Dragoon Kane, if you remember my video where I said that I'm looking forward to this unit, I still am, but I'm not quite sure whether I will actually go full for him. I mean, the Brave Shift animation is awesome, but yeah, we'll see about that. So the Trust Master, 50 LB damage, 75 jump damage, it's really good. For himself especially. The Super Trust Master, heavy armor, 70 attack, 20 defense, 150 jump damage, and Kane only gains 500 static attack. The Vision card, 100 base attack at level 10, 50 attack, 25 LB damage, and another 500 static attack. So the Vision card, it's really bad. It's a very old-ish type of Vision card that doesn't really do much, honestly. We've got a lot better ones. The only thing that it got going for it is the 500 static attack for Final Fantasy IV units, thus obviously making it kind of required on Kane, which is ugh. So how good is he? I'll mention the good things first. He's got a 140 Wind Imperil on his Brave Shifted LB, which is rather cool. 30% Spear Imperil, and he's got 500 innate jump damage, which is it's good. Means it's also super easy to have him do max jump damage and have a lot of wiggle room for killers left. Because truth be told, you're gonna probably use his STMR, you're gonna do Dragoon's Wisdom or anything, and you'll be almost good to go, right? So it's easy going with him. The bad things though, he has a 2-turn delay for his strongest jump ability, and this one is also light locked. So that's kind of and I'm hoping that Gumi will lower the jump delay to 1 turn, just like they did with Noctis and Arden. The other thing, 280 attack buff on self on his Grandis. He only has a 30% light amp, only 120 light imperil, even though it's his strongest element. Only 100% killer, and the version card is just super bad. So, yeah, kind of sad to see, honestly. So, should you pull? I mean, Dragoon Kane is the strongest Dragoon with the true double hand variants fixed in mind, but huge. Well, it's not even funny how huge the difference between Sky, our current best Dragoon, and Dragoon Kane is going to be. But on the other hand, he still has a lot of kit issues, mainly missing 300 attack buff, has weak light amp and imperil, and it's highly debatable whether Dragoons will make a comeback, which I feel like is super unlikely. His LB is pretty weak, so I'd suggest only pulling if you're a fan of his. The other unit that we're getting alongside Dragoon Kane is Summoner Rydia. As the name suggests, she is another evoker, and I feel like her sprite is rather cute. I like her Brave Shift sprite with the Esper behind her. It's really cute. I like it a lot. So the materia, 30% Evo magic, 4 LB crystals per turn. The Super Trust Master, Cloves, 60 magic, 15 defense, 60 spirit, 40 Evo magic, 30 Evo damage, 100 Esper stats. I like the Esper stats, by the way. I like this theme. And Rydia herself gains 500 static magic with the glove. So it's the same case for Rydia as it was for Lena. She wants to technically use the LB gloves from Shantoto, but she's kind of locked to her own STMR for the 500 static magic. I'm not too happy about this, but what can you do? Vision card, 100 magic, 50 magic, passive, 25 LB passive, and 500 static magic, just like Lena, so to speak. It's a carbon copy, and but it has better stats, right? This one is 100 magic instead of a split of attack and magic. So how good is she? Another mistake. I'm so sorry about all of these mistakes. I should really double check in the future. So the nice thing about her is that her Esper fields are rather cool. 100% attack, spirit, and magic, respectively if you're using Ashura, Leviathan, or Behemoth. The STMR is rather good, but on the other hand, she only has 160 Evo damage and 100 Evo magic innately, which is going to make gearing her for maxing these stats while also maxing the LB damage is going to be a huge issue. She's only got 280 magic buff on her Grandes, only 30% ice amp. The kit is super lame. She has to unlock quadcast, and the vision card is also pretty lame. So should you pull, I mean, she's literally Ice Terra. She is decent. She has that 80x evoke LB, but evokers are not relevant, and Rydia herself needs pauses STMR for true double hand, for 400% true double hand magic, or else your gearing will become it's just cumbersome. I tried gearing it and it's just a huge issue without pauses STMR. STMR herself, or the STMR herself at first, is pretty good, it's nice, but it's probably not worth going for at all. And we're also getting a new NVA alongside. It's a Barbaricia is coming along, gaining a new Grandes, a few modify increases, and focus. So that's nice. And her Brave Shift, I got the animation for that one, so it's rather cool. And yeah, as you can see, nothing too fancy. It's rather weak-ish, but it does increase modifiers for her main nuke. So all in all, not too fancy. It's just, she's just there, honestly. And then Mediana still tags along these videos. Nobody knows when she's coming. We'll see. I kind of lost hope, but she is overdue. Overdue at this point. Maybe someday. Maybe with Taivas. Who knows? But yeah, here's my release prediction. So totally next week is going to be Taivas mocking. On January 13th, I'm expecting the Lena, Durgan, and Tulien raid event. Maybe Tulien releases on the Monday after the 13th of January. On January 20th, I expect the next mocking of Dragoon Kane and Summoner Rydia. And on the 27th, the Clash of Wills units alongside the Chinese New Year event. And pretty please, Legend of Mana in February. Please, please, please. Anyway, that's it from me for today and for this year too. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I know this was a longer video than usual. I talked a lot about Taivas, but he does have a few interesting things. So once again, I'd like to thank you all for a super exciting 2021, and I am personally looking forward to 2022 and hope to see you guys next year as well. Have a great, wonderful last day of 2021. We'll see each other tomorrow again for a cool video. See you then, and see you on the other side. Bye bye.